All right, welcome back everybody to another Real Talk video. I pray all is well. I want to just come back and share this with you. My title now says, most people want a preacher, but not a pastor. Most people want a preacher, but not a pastor. Well, JT, what do you mean by that? That don't make sense, because preacher and pastor is the same thing. Is it really? And let me say this off top to the religious people. The majority of religious people are going to flock more toward a preacher. Now, these religious people I'm talking about are the ones who love to be entertained. I'm going to break this down. They love a show. They love the hooping and hollering. They just go to church a lot of times. I feel good. I heard them hoop and holler. But to the spiritual people who are on meat, most spiritual people want a pastor, an elder, or overseer. Now, I know once again a lot of people say they are the same, but there is a difference. And when I look at my brother P.P. Jones' pastor, Pastor Cochran, Pastor Leonard Cochran, major shout out to you, brother. That's a true pastor. See, the reason why I want to use him as an example, because he tells you what you need to hear versus what you want to hear. A lot of preachers will give you a feel-good sermon, but a pastor will give you a break-you-down sermon. Make you go home and look at that mirror sermon, and don't care how you take it sermon. And that's what I see every time you post those videos, Brother P.P. Jones, of Pastor Cochran. And in the Baptist church, you're going to always see an entertaining preacher. And this is what's sad, because can he preach? Can he sing? Can he hoop and holler? But how many times do you hear somebody say, can they pastor a church? I hope I can get about 500 pastors to look at this video. How many times do you hear, is that pastor's home in order? How is he running his home? Because if he can't run his home, why is he the pastor of this church? And if he can't pastor, if he's good at singing, then he need to be in the choir stand. Is he anointed? So I'm going somewhere with this video because I want to make a point, because there's so many people love the entertaining church now. But when a straight up real deal pastor that's sent by the Most High comes in that church and preach sound doctrine as quiet as a hooker in Sunday school, somebody better say amen. First of all, everybody ain't called to preach. And pastoring, let me say this, because pastoring is way more than just preaching. Oh yeah. See, preaching and pastoring is very similar, but they different. A lot of people don't catch that. Just like when I explained the difference between a disciple and an apostle, a lot of people didn't understand that. See, we have many preachers now because somebody told them, you know what, you look like a preacher, boy. Your daddy was a preacher. You sound like a preacher. You got that voice like a preacher. What do that mean? In reality, a lot of people done call themselves. See, Grandma used to say, some was called, some was sent, and some just got up and went. In other words, a lot of folk done call themselves to preach. The Bible tells us that many are called, but few are chosen. And it's only a few that's called out of the ones that's chosen. So how is it nowadays everybody is a preacher? How is it? See, it's much more than just preaching a weekly church service, because a pastor is over the congregation. Y'all heard what I'm saying? And when you go to Ephesians 4 and 11, it teaches us about the fivefold ministry, don't it? Because Apostle Paul showed that the Most High gave some apostles, prophets, evangelists, pastors, and teachers. So how can they all be the same, even though they are similar? That's my question to you. Once again, let me say this. Everybody ain't teaching. Some folk just showing out. Let me say this. You ever wonder, Brother Marvell, why nowadays you have more of an entertaining style preaching versus the way they taught in the Bible? Because you got all this hooping and hollering and Preachers trying to make the organ player jump 3 or 4 keys to show how good he can sing his sermon and walk around the church. I'm not knocking what people do. I'm just bringing out some facts. And people in the congregation love it, shouting, and they don't even know if he's saying the truth or not. They just caught up in the feeling. But what you call preaching versus what Jesus, what Paul, what Peter, what they done in the Bible, it don't match up, do it? Now you got a hooping and hollering sermon when Yahshua taught in parables. He would say a few sentences to some people and leave it alone. He spoke in a calm way. See, let me say something, because a true pastor looking at this video gonna say amen. A pastor is married to the church. Preacher got too much, dog. I ain't got time for that, dog. See, a pastor do a whole lot. He is committed. His heart is right. I give my hats off to all real pastors out there. And a pastor is always teaching, because the pastor is a teacher. Let me show you what a pastor got to do. Feed the flock. Shepherd the flock. When you see Pastor Cochran on them videos, he's feeding the flock. And it's hard to take in a lot of this stuff that brother is teaching, but it's the truth, and it cut you up and it make you better. It make you right. Should make you repent. And he don't care. One sermon he said, I don't care if you get up and walk out of my church, long as your blood is not on my hands. That's a true pastor. A pastor got to protect they flock. That's why I love to hear real pastors tear down these false doctrines. Because if you are real, if you call yourself a real pastor and you not tearing down false doctrines, you're going to have to answer to the Most High. It's your job to tear down false doctrines. It's your job to go after your sheep when they're astray. Some pastors don't care about when folk leave their church. And then we can just be real and say some folk need to leave church because they wasn't right. But what about the ones that was right, that left for the right reason? And the pastor didn't go after them. Let me leave that alone. I failed 4 more people. Cut this video off. You have to be right. True pastors have a vision. And their vision comes from the Most High. Let me tell you something. You know why a lot of preachers wonder why their church ain't growing? Why they still in that same old little building that they've been in for the last 15, 20 years and they still got the building fund? Because they getting they dream and the Most High's vision mixed up. They see what they see, but they don't see what the Most High have showed them. And some of them probably don't even need to be preaching at all. I ain't talking about everybody. And the reason why I say it like that, because there's some folks out here that have called themselves to preach. They trying to hurry up and jump in the building. Most people I know want a bigger building, and they can't even pack out the building they in right now. A real pastor is in order. So that vision that the Most High gives him is awesome. See, Proverbs 29:18, I believe, it teaches us where there is no vision, the people will perish. Let me say that again. Where there is no vision, Brother K. Ray, the people will perish. Most people I know trying to look at what the prophet's showing them. Most people I know won't study for themselves. Most people I know going to continue to live a lie and going to go faithfully to a building where they're not even being taught. See, a preacher has a job that emphasizes more on proclaiming the words of the Most High, the teachings of the Bible. But a pastor's job is the oversight. He's looking at it all. He's over a particular congregation. Once again, being over a congregation ain't easy at all. Preachers are, when you look at most churches, you see the pastor, you see the reverends. The preachers are oftentimes the assistant to the pastor. And they preach. But nowadays, I got to tie this in. Come on, minister of music, if y'all listening. How is it nowadays every minister of music is a preacher now, trying to get a church? I've seen more minister of music now getting ordained to preach, and they get into it with the pastors of the church because they done got some word in them, and they done forgot about being the, now let me say it right, they want to be the minister of music and they want to be the pastor, because they look at what the pastor is doing and like, yeah, I could do it better than that. I'm talking about just the ones I know now. A lot of them. It's a lot of them. Whole lot of them. Confusion. Brother Mitty Man did an old video called "If We Would Just Stay in Our Lane." Shout out to you, Mitty Man. I ain't gonna never forget that video. The problem with most churches that everybody in position is jumping out their lane. You got the deacons trying to tell the preacher what to preach. You got the musicians trying to run the pulpit. Things is just out of order. And a church that has no order is no church at all. And something else you see, and I got to tie this in, because pretty much, and I'm not knocking folks, just facts. I'm talking facts. How is it now everybody that gets saved, that come out with a new gospel album, is a pastor now? Just a question I'm asking. Everybody's a preacher now. Because I came out with this song. Because I put this together. I put that together. Something wrong with this picture. Everyone who got an album out now is a pastor now. Everyone who give their life over to God is a preacher now. Oh man, I'm finna start up my own church. And I'm going to say this again. We got too many buildings up. Church buildings. We keep talking about we need more and more buildings now. We need to straighten the hell up out of the ones that's already up. Because in my neighborhood, I can count you out 6 or 7 on one street. I remember one church I used to play at about 10, 15 years ago. It was a family church. Everybody in the church was pretty much a pastor or a preacher, or a prophet, or evangelist, or something. It was so many people in the pulpit that it was nobody to minister to in the congregation. As the Most High is my witness. Nobody to minister to, because everybody was already a preacher, a pastor. So I'm going to close out by saying, most people really want a preacher. Because you can pretty much tell a preacher what to do a lot of times. I got to say this. Woo, thank you, Holy Ghost. It's got to be said. According to certain people in the church, especially women, who are heavy tithe payers, according to what you put in, some of these preachers, I didn't say all, will allow you with your Jezebel spirit, not all women, to run that church into the ground. I'm saying that to say this. A true pastor won't allow that to happen. A true pastor gonna stop mess at the gate. A true pastor gonna address it. That's the problem with most of these churches. When they see stuff getting out of hand, they don't want to address it. But a true pastor who is over that congregation, because he knows that the Most High is gonna hold him accountable. Y'all feel what I'm saying? So which would you rather have? A preacher or a pastor? When I look at Pastor Cochran, I got to keep using him. I don't see no entertaining gospel. I don't see, I've never heard him preach one of these prosperity, watered down, fake bootleg gospels. They ain't even no gospel. Let me quit saying gospel. He tears down this stuff because he's a true overseer, pastor, elder. Some might say bishop. Problem nowadays is titles. Well, I'm trying to close this thing out, but the Holy Spirit is speaking. The problem nowadays is too many titles done went to too many folks' head, and they done cared more about their title than what the book says and what they should be doing. A lot of people on here call me Pastor JT. I tell people all the time, you ain't got to call me none of this stuff. But I know a lot of people like say, well, JT, my brother T-Mott, Big shout out to my big brother T-Mont. He would always say, well, young brother, you are pastor, whether you want to say amen or not, just because you ain't in no building. And I understand why people call me pastor. But I say that out of love to say this too. You ain't got to call me none of that. You can call me servant. You can call me your brother. So, I'm once again just a messenger. Kind of like an angel. You can call me an angel. And I don't have no wings. A lot of people don't understand that because of the Hollywood movies and everything. An angel in the Greek just simply means messenger. I'm a messenger. I'm your angel for the day. So may the Most High bless you and keep you. Y'all have a wonderful, blessed day. Peace.